Hello and welcome back to the channel. So in this episode I'm going to be showing you my Moria army. So this has been an army that I've had for probably the best part of about 8 years now. Um, I've used it in absolutely loads of tournaments. I've I've really enjoyed playing with this army. It's a very good army to use competitively if you don't mind taking high price troops. But what I've done is I've laid out here. This is about 2/3 of what I've got. I've still got another 15 spearmen, 15 swordsmen, about 10 bowmen. But I'll just put this out to give you a basic idea of what I've got in my army and how I'm just going to run by how I use it and things. So, as I say, I've had this army for a very long time. This has always been one of my favourite armies to use. I am a very horde-based player. I will always take armies that have absolutely buttloads of troops and a few heroes to, do heroic combats, help in fights and things, and a couple of monsters. So this army kind of always played perfect for my style. So what I got is pretty much everything on release. This was all from when things were released many years ago in the Shadow and Flame supplement. But what I tend to do is I've converted a few models up. I've kind of made it my own, and what I'll do is I'll take you through some of the conversions I've done and some of the models and how I've painted them and things, and we'll take it from there. So first of all, we'll start off with the HQ units, as it were. So we've got um, the Goblin King, Durbaz, and we've also got Groblog. He was a very hard model to get for a while because he was out of stock for quite a while. So I had to kind of bide my time with him and wait until he was kind of available for me to actually purchase. Luckily, he came back on the made to order, and I jumped on it straight away. Um, he's such a good model to use in game. You just can't take him. Every single game you have to take him. Just the bonuses he gives are just crazy, and he's such a cool looking model, very dynamic on the base. Fits in quite nicely with the army as well, so he's a very good character to have, and he can also hold his own in combat quite a lot. We've got Durbaz as well, the Goblin King. Very old model, very old sculpt. I think I've got about 4 of him, either missing that arm, missing the sword arm, broken sword or something. I think he's my second incarnation of him because I think the first one's sword broke off. But he is yet again like just such an amazing unit to use in the game. He can hold his own quite easily. He's got the power to take on heroes. And sometimes he wins, sometimes you lose. But he's one of the models you have to take. So them two are always kind of 100% takes, no matter what you do. Even if you're just playing a small game, you take them full warband them, and you're gonna have a pretty good time. I converted up a couple of captains, like in the old Fellowship of the Ring rulebook. So these were originally bowmen. You cut the hand off, replace it with a sword. Cut the bow off, replace it with a shield. These are some of the old conversions from way back when, because obviously there was no captain models available. This one's got his sword up. This one's got his sword back. Just two of my favourite models. He's one of the coolest conversions, one of the first conversions I think I ever did for strategy battle game back in the day. Apart from a shaman which you couldn't actually use in the game, I think I gave him like a matchstick I carved. I also did, I don't know if the keen-eyed of you would spot, but on the bases, I did the basing technique that's in the D'Agostini version of the magazine. What they did, Battle Games in Middle Earth, where you do the little cardboard flagstones. Yeah, I just had to do it on the bases. I always enjoyed looking at the models that had them done. So my whole army's been based in this same way. I was actually going to take these off and rebase them onto resin bases, but for the sheer amount of models I've got, and these these have won a few painting competitions, but you know they're supposed to be dirty and rough. I don't want them to go on resin bases. I end up using the resin bases for my Faramir's Legendary Legion, so they got used anyway. A couple of other models I've got both the different variants of the Goblin Shamans. So these are, turn that around a bit. These are the two Shaman models that were available. So this one's the old school one. I converted him to have like a bit of a spear tip using a sword, because I do actually have another one of these in my pot with all the extra models I couldn't fit on here. And this is the one that was released at a later date. It's nice having the two variations in models, because obviously when you are running a Moria army, you need to have that fury save to, you know, just stay alive. So having two of them on the table is a must, you know, one at either side. If one fails, you've still got a second one to go off. If you both fail, then you've wasted like 70 points for nothing, basically. You got the Moria Goblin Drum as well. So this one, I think in the newest rulebook, he's got a bit of a pimped up, pimped up profile now, so he can stand at the back of a battlefield, and you still get the benefits of the banner reroll. Again, this is one of the models I bought when these were released back in the Shadow and Flame days. Such cool models, you know. Very cool looking, very individual, I'll give them that, with their massive bones that they have. You've got, obviously you've got your basic troops as well, so, you know, everybody knows what a Goblin Warrior and a Goblin Spearman looks like, so these are my Warriors and Spearmen. I opted to go for a bit of a brighter green on the skin tone. It's a little bit more distinctive. It's not like your classic dull green. I went for more of a goblin green from like Warhammer Fantasy days. I think it just makes them pop a little bit more. Highlighted them as well. You know, these were painted about 7-8 years ago, so I'm not going to say these are the most perfect paint job in the world, but on the tabletop they do look very, very cool. I also, from back in the day, have a lot of the original metal goblins as well, the armoured goblins. I was always a bit sad that these guys never got a profile for like extra defense or extra armor, because I think most of these were used back in the day as just generic captains, because obviously they look different to the normal troop models. I also have all the incarnations of the bowmen as well, so you've got all of these chaps as well, which are, in my opinion, just fantastic sculpts, you know. But it would be nice if they did have the option for having like heavily armoured Moria goblins, so they got like an extra defence, because you can have them on the board and they're exactly the same defence as a normal one, which is quite annoying. But they are still fantastic models. You know, I've got, what have I got? 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 14, and I've got one which I'm converting at the moment to a banner, so that's 15. I've got 15 of them. They came in blister packs, I think, of 4 back in the day. Their prices on them skyrocketed, obviously, when they became out of production, so I was quite fortunate in the fact that I had about 4 blisters worth, just to add a bit of variation to the army, which was pretty cool. I've got my Bat Swarm as well, because I do have the actual guy. I do actually have the actual guy these came with, but I just don't know where they went. I think his name's Jurazag the Beast Caller or something like that. I have him knocking about. He is somewhere, but I use this mainly because there's no point having it on the back of his base. It's not really going to do anything aesthetically. But obviously in tournament games you have to have it on the base because it counts as part of the model, and you can see the bats on him and shooting and all that kind of stuff. But I use that as a bat swarm because it is a swarm of bats. So it does exactly what it says on the tin. My pride and joy of the army is my 4 cave trolls. So whenever I run if I'm in a tournament or I'm playing a game competitively, I will always try and take at least 2 or 3 cave trolls, because they are worth their weight in gold. I remember a game I did at a tournament. I went up against Dwalin on Goat, Thorin on Goat, and I think I had Barlin. I think Barlin was in there as well in the combat. I had a Goblin Captain and I had 2 Trolls, and my Trolls absolutely decimated Thorin and Dwalin in one turn because they were pinned against a wall. I got double attacks, so my Trolls were rolling 6 attacks each, and I think out of the dice, I think I got something crazy like 8 sixes. So I ended up like just killing them outright. It was very very funny in game. Obviously not for the opponent. It was funny for me because then my Trolls just turned around and walked off and ended up throwing Feely and Keely in 2 opposite directions away from the objective, which was fantastic. I've got the plastic one, which came with the Mines of Moria set, which is that guy there. I've got the 2 original posers. These were the original models that came out. I don't have the one with the spear, the metal one with the spear yet. He's on my list of things to buy, but I do have the metal one with his hammer above his head, which is again a really cool model. One of the models I do tend to take if I'm playing very large point armies, like 800 points, is this chap, the Balrog. So he is one of the original metal Balrogs. He does weigh quite a bit. I will be repainting him at some point because now contrast paints are out. I can actually do his flames a lot better. So I will re-undercoat in black. I'll pick out all the cracks in his like skin with white, and then I'll go through it with contrast paints like yellow and reds and things to make it look nice and glowy. But with this guy, I did actually convert him up. So what I did was actually reposed his arm. So he's now holding his arm down because I think this guy had his arm out. So I reposed that so it's down. And also the main conversion I did was I basically cut out every single part on his wings to fold them in, because I wanted him to look like he was stomping his way through the Dwarendelf towards the Fellowship, about to pull Gandalf off the bridge. So what I did was actually, well, it took me a very long time to do because I didn't have a Dremel at the time, so I actually carved all these out with a hobby knife, re-glued all the individual spines back on, green stuffed them all together. There was a lot of fiddling and faffing about. I filled in all the cracks as well, all the joins and all that kind of stuff, all the seams, I filled them all in. Obviously, where I'd cut all these bits out at the back, because I think on the original model he actually has these bits going down like that, so I actually cut those off because I couldn't stand them, filled the gaps in, so it's a lot neater and a lot nicer. But when you see him walking through Moria, he doesn't actually have anything in the middle of his wings, and he doesn't have any fire in the middle of his wings. It's basically just like shadow and smoke. So I cut those out because it looks more, to me, it looks more how the Balrog's meant to look. So he is. I also stuck him on a different base as well, just to kind of update him a little bit. But he is one of my favourite models for the army, and if I ever get a chance to take him, I always take him because he's just phenomenally good. But basically, this is kind of my go-to Moria list. I really do enjoy playing this army a lot. It's always done me well in tournaments. I've always placed quite high with them. They do get a lot of interest shown in them because not many people tend to run Moria armies anymore. So I do get quite a lot of people come up to me and look at it, and then when they see a horde of about 60, 70 goblins on the other side of the table and they've got about 4 heroes, it does become quite interesting. There are some models that I do still want to get for this army. I do still want to buy a couple of Dwellers in the Dark because they are baby Balrogs. They're fantastic, especially when you kill an enemy, you regain the wound. So that's always going to be handy to have in fight situations. If you find an easy fight, just send them in. I do want to get some black shields, but I can't stand the fine cast ones, so they'd have to be metal. But they're not really priority really for the army. The only thing I really want to do with these at the moment is build another decent display board, so I can put them on my shelf, and then I can take them to armies, because I'm only limiting myself, as I said in one of my previous videos, I'm only limiting myself to a few armies for this game system now, whereas before I was collecting anything and everything. So I'd find one model and go, I'm going to start an army based around him, or I'm going to start an army based around this scene in the movie. So now I'm literally just going to be doing 4 armies: 2 evil, 2 good, and my army events, which are pretty much awesome. But I'll do another army showcase on them at another time. So my evil armies are going to be Morannons, because they're going to go well with my Faramir's Legendary Legion. So when I take them to tournaments and I have to use an evil and a good army, I can put them both on the display board, like opposite ends, and it'll look like they're attacking each other. It'll be a cool little mini scene. For good army as well, obviously I've got my Moria for evil. For the good army, the other one, I'm going to be doing probably Rohan. I do have a Númenórean army, but they're not the strongest. I love them to bits, but they're not the strongest in game. They have 2 heroes, and until they actually get a bit of love cavalry-wise, they're not going to be seeing the tabletop anytime soon again. I'm just going to keep. I'm probably going to paint them and just keep them in a box. I might do a showcase about them at some point, but they're not very much on the priority. But I would like to get these back into another game again, because I do really miss running these as a legion. Oh, I forgot to go over the colour scheme as well. So I did stick with the classic Moria theme. So, you know, red cloth, crappy rusted armour, green skin, all that kind of stuff. What I did was basically painted all the base coats on. So I started with a metal, dry brushed the whole model with a metal colour. I then painted all the red cloth. I then painted all the skin, washed the whole thing with Nuln Oil. I think some of these were actually washed with drawing ink because they were that old. I think Nuln Oil wasn't even invented then. And then I just went over and highlighted the skin again with the original colour, and then I went over it with Scorpion Green, which was like a really bright green just on elbow joints, fingers, you know, like eyes and ears, and all the ridges on their faces and the toes and stuff. Did brown for the straps, went over the red again, and that's pretty much it. The bases were really fun to do. So what I did with the bases was took a blank base, cut out loads of little flagstone rectangles for the bases, glued them on with super glue, glued on a couple of rocks, as you can see on this guy here, glued on a couple of little pebbles, and then undercoated the lot black, dry brushed it with I think it's called Mechanicus Standard Grey. Then I think at the time it was Fortress Grey, but I think it's called something else now. It's called oh no, I did the first original base coat with the dark grey. I can't remember what that's called. Trying to find the paint. Sorry. Here it is. It's called Mechanicus Standard Grey, and then I dry brushed it with Administratum Grey, and then I dry brushed it again really, really lightly with just a normal matte white. These didn't actually get any varnish or anything on them because I didn't believe in varnishing models back then. But I think what I will do is go over all these models again, just dust them off. I've got like a special static little dusting thing that you use for like jewellery and stuff. I'll give them a dust over, then I'll give them all a matte spray just to protect them. The trolls, obviously, they could do with a little bit of a spruce up. They are quite old. I think I just painted the skin, whacked on some wash, and that was pretty much it. But they are supposed to be dirty anyway, so it don't really matter. But no, I say these are one of my favourite armies to play. They've always been high on my list of armies to play. And I hope you guys enjoyed the little video based around my army of Moria. I don't actually know if there is a Legendary Legion for these yet. I haven't actually got the Fellowship rulebook, so I can't actually go over it and see. I think there's one based around the Balrog, but I'm not quite sure. But so I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. Obviously, comment, let me know what you think. You know, if you think there's anything I could add to the army, then give me some choices, give me some options. And thank you very much for watching the video again. And hobby, just have fun with the hobby, which is what I'm currently doing. Getting all my old armies, trying new armies. It's just very good. So happy hobbying, guys, and I shall catch you all in the next video.